What's up, ProjectRE? We are at our new property in Bellevue, Washington that we are closing on in about a week. So this is a very interesting property. We're going to walk you through. We're going to talk about scope of work and velocity of money and choosing highest and best use, and why we're going to spend less money on this house and sell it for less and make more money than we would if we did the full renovation and took it to highest and best use, and there's a strategy behind that. So we're gonna walk through this property, we're gonna walk through the scope of work, what we're changing, what we're not changing. But the thing that you always wanna think about as you're looking at any investment opportunity is what is gonna maximize your overall return, not just the profit. So on this property, we are paying $1.35 million for it. We could put about $300,000 to $350,000 in the renovation and sell it for about 2.5. Instead, we're going to put about $125,000 to $135,000 into the renovation and target a $2.1 million exit. So in theory, if we spent more, we would actually make more profit. But the reason we are doing this, it's all about velocity of money. This project's going to take us about 4 to 5 months to get in and out, start to sold, whereas the major renovation will take about 12 months. And so it stretches your deal way out. Even though you're gonna make more profit, you're gonna have it for a lot longer period of time. And when you look at this math, we're gonna make about $200,000 on this property by doing the light renovation. We would make about $500,000 by doing the full renovation, but it's gonna take nearly double or a little bit more of the time. So your overall cash on cash return is gonna be higher by doing less work. So it's really important as flippers to identify what's highest and best work use, what the scope of work is, and then putting that plan in place. So we're gonna walk through this house right now, and I'm gonna talk about the things that we're doing different on the full renovation versus the cosmetic that we're sticking to, and then how to keep your renovation under control without jeopardizing the cost. Only problem, I bought it from a fake seller. Let's check something real quick. Oh yeah, they just shim this thing right in. This is my favorite test when walking property. Hello? Anybody here? So what we have here is we got a 1960s building that has been renovated kind of weirdly throughout the years, but they have done a lot of electrical work. They've updated a lot of mechanicals. The overall windows have been hit. It's got a metal roof on top. And so it has some overall good bones to the property, but the issue is it has a little bit of a weird floor plan, or the floor plan that's not gonna get the highest price out of the property. So let's look in, we're gonna spend time in the kitchen and talk about what we're doing differently, and this is the theme that we're doing throughout the whole house. We're sticking with make it work, improve it, but not blow the budget. So let's look at the kitchen right now. As flippers, we're always going for that big open concept. Typically it's gonna get you the highest price, which it would here. But remember, our plan is to get in and out of this property really quickly. We're gonna put it back to market at a fairly affordable price, so it should get absorbed just because it's the cheapest thing in the market, which will be very shiny. So we're still doing the full scope for an update. We're doing the flooring, we're doing the cabinets, we're doing the doors, we're doing the trim, we're updating some electrical, we're doing the full landscaping like we would, repairing the garage, but we're just doing it a little bit differerly. So for example, in this kitchen right here, we have a kitchen that has been fully rewired. All the GFCI outlets are in the right spots. It's been replumbed and redone with cabinets in the probably late 90s, where they added in an island, they put their sink, the dishwasher here. We have newer mechanicals through this section too. They actually brought in gas pipe to stick their range here. Everything's been vented out this way. And then they also updated this panel. So there's a substantial amount of money just in this corner of this property. The reason we are not opening the whole thing up is because all these good mechanicals will need to be fully ripped out if we want to get to that best use floor plan. That's why we're going for the cheaper version. So what we have here, and things that I want to look at, is how do you cost effectively adjust your scope to keep your rehab down? We hear this all the time. My budget's going over, my budget's going over, my budget's going over. Most of the time, it's your fault, not the contractors. You're telling them to do too much, or you're not thinking about the domino effect of the renovation. So let's break this down real quick. In this kitchen right here, we have a layout that we would love to get wide open. We dug into the comparables. We don't need it for the target exit price. We want to get it a little bit open so people fall in love and they still feel good about the house, but we don't want to redo everything. And so let's look at this corner specifically. We have a kitchen that could have, to get this thing perfected, is going to cost a substantial amount of money. We have cabinet height running here. We have windows that are dropping below here. For us to get this kitchen wide open with an island and run it through this section, it's going to require us to pull out these brand new windows, re-site it up, reframe this all in, and this is going to cost us maybe $4,000 just to move these windows up and get it to where we can wrap our kitchen cabinets around. In addition to, we have a panel right here, right? In a perfect world, our kitchen would run through this way, this would be wide open, but this is in the way. For us to redo this, we got to move the meter, we have to move the mast, and we have to move the panel into a different area. That also requires a full permit, which is going to slow things down at that point. We have a perfectly brand new panel that's been permitted, been inspected, but if we want to move it, we're going to have to redo that whole process. That's going to add timelines and cost. So to move this panel alone is going to cost about $4,000 to $5,000 with the meter, the mast, the panel, and the upgrade. So between the windows and the panel, there's nearly $7,000 to $10,000 in work by just adjusting these two things. So as we're kind of going through, we still want to achieve a high price, right? We still want to deliver good concept. We know that people want to come into the house and have a little bit of that great room feel. So to open this wall here, again, we have more mechanicals here. And as you design these floor plans, it's really important that you look at where's your mechanical locations. Can you live with them? Can you work with them? Or do they need to be fully redone? By us looking at the comparables and looking at what we're targeting, we could see that not all the kitchens were wide open. They had a little bit smaller kitchens. They weren't great room concepts. That was for the high pricing. So after we reviewed the comparables, we saw we wanted to get a better kitchen, but we wouldn't need to move everything. So when we're looking through this kitchen here, we had a gassed-in range, hood already set up. If we wanted to move this out and create the island, that's going to cost us probably $1,000 to $2,000 to re-gas pipe this out. We're going to have to move the range over into this section over here. We're going to have to put a beam in through here, and then we're going to have to vent everything through. Just by moving this range over is going to cost me about $4,000 to move this over. So we got $5,000 here, $4,000 here, $4,000 here. That's $12,000 just to move some things around. And is we wanted to get this room open. And what we did know is moving a fridge is a lot simpler than moving gas piping, ranges, and everything else. We're gonna move this fridge over into this corner here and redesign the kitchen, and we can cut this wall back about 4 feet to where we can still achieve an open island peninsula without having to install a beam. We're not having to move all our gas range, and we're saving a ton of money, and all we have to spend is some open demo work and then make sure that we have power over here for our new fridge. And so when you're looking at your designs, you want to look at if you want to keep your costs down, don't mess with all the mechanicals. We're not touching this. We're going to keep our island right here, which is going to feed out into a living room or kind of eating area through this section. So as we're kind of planning this out, we spent a lot of time mapping this out. We revisit our comparables. What do we need to accomplish here? We're leaving the sink and the dishwasher in this section. It's going to feed out into this eating area. The range is going to stay where it is. This costs us very little money. Now opening this wall is going to cost me $1,000 instead of $5,000 moving everything around. Our fridge is going to this section in here because we already have power set up for the fridge, so we don't have to move any electrical, no mechanicals. And all of a sudden, instead of reframing this whole kitchen, moving everything to a different corner, opening everything up, which is probably going to cost me $30,000 to $40,000 by moving all these things around, replacing all the cabinets, doing the countertops and sinks, we now can get this kitchen done for about $8,000. Because the cost of the cabinets and counters are going to be about $8,000. Sorry, eight's a little bit low. Then we're going to open this beam up. This is going to cost us about $1,500 here. That's at $9,500. And then we got to replace all the appliances, which are going to be about $4,000 to $5,000 on this. And so this kitchen is going to cost me about $14,000 instead of $40,000. That's money that goes back into the bottom line that I can reduce the price by, which makes it more affordable and more tradable. So as you're looking at things to reduce cost, you always want to look at what the domino effect is with things. So in a perfect world, we would love to get this open too, but there's things that you want to look at. You don't want to just start ripping everything out, because the more things that you rip out, the more mechanicals and wiring you need to move too. So my first initial thought when we were coming through here is we're going to open this up by 4 feet, then we're going to open this corner up, but then we have these switches and plugs on the other side of this wall. If I wanted to open this, I would have to have an electrician pull a permit, move all the wiring over to this other wall so we can get it wide open. And there's a domino effect that I'm demoing this out. When we looked at the comparables, this doesn't need to be done. Even though I prefer it to be done and I want it to be done, it doesn't mathematically make sense. It's gonna trigger the permits, it's gonna trigger the wiring, it's gonna trigger the cost, and so we're gonna leave this alone. So every time that you look at doing those minor little tweaks, that you fall in love with the property and you're like, this would be a lot better, go back to the comparable data, revisit it, and then look at the domino effect before you put that scope in line. That is the biggest key. When you start messing with things, it causes other costs. You can design your kitchens, you can design your bathrooms, you can design your whole scope of work around working what's there. Cosmetic renovations can be actually one of the hardest renovations because you want to perfect things but not blow all the cost. So always be tracking down your mechanicals, where they are, what ties into them, and then put the right plan in play after you reviewed the comparables. Hello? Anybody here?